Hello, guys. Welcome to the show this afternoon. Now, it's pretty obvious to me. Well, it's starting to become obvious pretty quick because the Fed has changed their monetary policy. Basically, they're stopping their quantitative tightening process, and they're also moving ahead, with not raising interest rates all of the rest of this year. It's pretty obvious to me, and it's starting to look more and more like gold and silver starting to go into a bull market, but albeit very slowly at first. Very slowly. So let's get the chart started right here, and let's take a look at the silver price today. Even though it's been staying in this range of $15.40 US, if we take a look, if we go back, we can see that it's starting to slowly heat up. And it's been able to hold its range up above $15. But this has all got to do with a change. A change in it. See, the Fed is everything, And investors, never forget that gold and silver are an ultimate safe haven asset, And not only that, we got Basel III, where the banks can count gold now as a first tier in their first tier. I'm having a brain fart. Sorry, guys, but here's the thing. Let's take a look at the gold chart real quick here. You notice we're staying well above 1,300 now. Solid. It's really solid. I think it's going to get a lot more solid very soon. I think it's slowly starting to heat up. Slow at first, but then it'll creep up faster and faster. And you know what? This is going to bring enthusiasm back into the marketplace again. Now, I wanted to point out something here. I was to the BBC just 10 minutes ago, and I was reading this article, because I'm just constantly reading stuff about Brexit, trying to find out what's going on. It's such a complicated situation. Most people don't even understand it. So I was reading through this, reading through this article from the BBC about Brexit, and what are indicative votes, and stuff like that, and how Parliament is how they're saying that Parliament is, and I went down here to this chart here, the next steps of Brexit, and somebody's put this chart together, and so I was following along, and it says the MPs can choose from an option, yes or no, from one of the options that they come up through these indicative votes. They can choose an option, and they can pick yes or no, and then it's going to go basically to Theresa May's desk for her to accept. And so then they chart it here, yes or no, so she can say yes or no to the deal. And then they're following the no down if she says no. And then it says there could be possibly a meaningful vote on Theresa May's deal. Okay, so they're going to basically go back to this deal that's failed twice. They're going to try it for a third time to get it through. And then they say it could pass or it could fail. Well, they're right on. It could pass or it could fail. But then I read down here a little bit further, It says if it fails, right, there's three options that they put here. One is cancel Brexit. Well, that's correct. They could, And the next one is no deal. In other words, they're going to go out of the European Union with no deal on April 12th. And the third option is if it fails, and let's face it, folks, if she puts it to a meaningful vote again, it's probably going to fail. So we got to follow these three options that they put here. Now, the third option that the BBC put here is further extension. It says UK takes part in the EU elections, and they get a further extension here. You see that over here on the right-hand side? It says further extension, right? Well, as soon as I read that, I said, hey, hold on a minute here. Who made up this chart for the BBC? Because, am I correct or am I not correct that the European Union said that if she doesn't get a deal, and this is the fail here, in other words, Theresa May fails her deal, right, that they will not give a further extension and if she can't get her deal through. Did the European Union say that or not? As part of the rules, that if she can't get her deal through, that they're not going to give a further extension. So how come BBC has got them having a further extension here with her failing? I think somebody that put this chart together perhaps didn't do their homework. You know what I mean? Now, am I right about this? You viewers decide, am I right or am I wrong? Or is the BBC right and I'm wrong about this? Okay? Just something interesting that I came across this afternoon. And I was just wondering if the person that put this chart in here made a little mistake, perhaps, you know? Or am I wrong? You guys go ahead and comment on this and tell me in the viewers section. You know, I want to read the comments on this and see if I am wrong about this. You know, but I thought that the European Union said that if she fails her deal, that there is no further extension. That's what I thought, anyway. So gold and silver are heating up right now, and so is the U.S. dollar, which is, you know, very unusual. The U.S. dollar's riding strong today. We got 96.79 on the U.S. dollar index. It's getting up, approaching 97. Now, here's the way I see. They've given gold and silver this new Basel III, you know, has given gold and silver the green light, and also the Fed, going back on their monetary tightening policies, is giving gold and silver the green light as far as I'm concerned. Now, you got to understand something about sentiment. There's been an awful lot of bad sentiment in the marketplace as regards gold and silver as of late. And this is one of the reasons why they've been rushing so heavy into the treasury bonds. You know, they've driven these yields down tremendously. Now, you know, the same thing happened back in 1929 during the Great Depression. Just before the Great Depression started, you know, capital started to take capital flight, and they started to look for safe haven assets, places to invest their money, just ahead of what started to happen when they were going into the Great Depression. You know, capital starts to move around rather quickly from one place to another. Like right now, it's firing off into treasury bonds. Well, you know, it can change direction in a heartbeat. And I noticed something else happening here. Cryptocurrency. You know? Now, I've been waiting for this. I kind of knew it was coming. I was giving it over a 50% chance of happening. I think I said 60%, and then I reduced it to 50% chance of it happening, but still, that's a high percentage odds of it happening, was a fall in the cryptocurrency market. Well, we've had it. We've had our fall, and it's fell down now to 39.11 right now at this moment. But it wasn't much of a fall. They took it down from roughly just under $4,000 down to $38.50. What this shows me, it shows me a lot. When I was watching this, I was thinking to myself, Bitcoin is just like an animal that's cornered when Bitcoin was going along sideways, you know. I was thinking in my mind, it's like an animal that's cornered, and you don't know which direction he's going to run. It's like having a squirrel in your house, you know, and you got him in a corner, you know, and he's going to go, and he's looking this way, and his beady little eyes are looking that way, and you know he's just going to jump and run one direction or the other, right? That's how Bitcoin was in my mind. It was just like, which direction's it going to go? And I thought it was probably going to go down, but I wasn't sure. But this tells me a lot now, because now the squirrel's jumped and run, and I know which direction it's going in now. Right? It's went down. But here's the thing. When I watch this action, this downward action, downward pressure, I can see that the bears are losing steam. They haven't got the energy they once had. And also, you notice after you notice how it's slowly springing back? It's back up to 39.12, you know? So, I'll tell you what, another thing about this is if we go back in the gold price, you know, right in here at 1320, we see this drop right here. Now, let me narrow in on it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Give me a second here. I'll narrow my chart in, and we'll take a look at this. This drop right here. Right here. Get my chart in here. Okay, this drop right here. This is what I'm talking about. And you see it drop from 1320 all the way down to almost 1312, about 1313. You know? That coincides with the drop in cryptocurrency. Now, if we open up the cryptocurrency chart again, this drop right here in cryptocurrency occurred right around the same time. You know, now we know that the cryptocurrency was moving with the stock market a while ago. Here's the thing. I think cryptocurrency is actually starting to make a transition right now. And what it's slowly making a transition to, think about how many hodlers there are out there. Now, if you don't know what hodl means, it means hold on for dear life. You know, and they got Bitcoin in their wallet right now. And this is one of the reasons why it's making it so hard for Bitcoin to go down and make new fresh lows and stuff, is because of this army of hodlers. Basically, they're hoarding this stuff, you know? If all of the hodlers in the entire world were to just dump their Bitcoin tomorrow morning, yeah, Bitcoin would go down to zero. But it ain't going to happen, because these hodlers, they're waiting. And not only that, as Bitcoin slowly starts to come back up again, we're going to see more hodlers into this army. So what Bitcoin is actually doing is it's making a transition. It was a speculative investment for the longest time. I think that Bitcoin now, just now, is starting to make a transition. And what it's becoming is, it's becoming a safe haven asset, like gold. And it's moving with gold. It's not moving with the stock market now, because if we trace this pattern downwards, we see right here, and we see the same downward pattern in gold, well, the stock market went up during the same period in time. So now we have Bitcoin moving down, the stock market going up. Before we had the stock market going down and Bitcoin going down. You know, things are changing. Patterns are changing. And I'm starting to notice it. And the feeling, I think, about Bitcoin has been changing. Even though it's in the doldrums, even though we're in a bear market right now, I think the actual sentiment of the hodling army, I'll call them an army, is changing things. You know, and I know the gold guys out there don't like to hear it, but, you know, this stuff is strong. It really is. It's stronger than it's stronger than you'd think it is. So I think we're moving into a world where there's room for all of these assets and all of these new asset classes. What there's not room for is the fiat currencies. It's basic math, guys. You can't fight math. Math is eventually going to kill the fiat currencies, because the debt is went exponential, and credit is debt. And basically the system, they're over leveraging it, and it's going straight up, and there's no stopping it. And so it's inevitable what's going to happen. It's a fiat monetary Ponzi scheme. And all Ponzi schemes end exactly the same way. It's amazing that the Federal Reserve has actually been able to keep this thing going so long. It just amazes me. Listen, thank you guys for listening to this show, and we'll catch you guys in the next show very, very soon. Bye-bye, guys.